Hey everybody, Shquestra Satawi, Voices from Wise Women. Sit back and relax. Today is going to be a great show. It's almost like a workshop. Do you love who you want to be enough to give up who you are? So this is going to be a great one. Get your notebook, get your pen, pencil, and be ready. Got plenty of resources, stories to share, all kinds of really great stuff. So you're going to see me looking to the side because I'll be bringing things and showing to you as it goes on. All right, so we know that when we first start, we are going to do our 30-second meditation to bring everybody into the room, bring your spirit into it. And so let's do our 30 seconds. Here we go. All right, we are ready to. So I just want to thank. We have a new production assistant, Isis, and I just want to say, hey, Isis, and thank you very much. And so my producer, Rolanda, is training Isis to help her, and so we always believe in mentoring people. So she is going to be doing that today. So just want to shout out to Isis. You all can type a little something, hey, Isis, to let her know that that you are aware that she's there. Today I have a shirt that says confidence in my DNA. And because we're going to talk about who we are, and I'm going to really tell you who I am. Some of you know who I am. Some of you think you know who I am. And some of you have no idea who I am. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So I decided to pull our card. I pulled the card last week. I don't know what happened. I pulled the card and forgot to share it with you. We pull it back a little so you can see. So today it says, I am willing to change. And if you love who you really want to be, you're going to have to change. So I am willing to change. I really like that. And on the calendar, it says, I am positive. I am a positive example of my own family, including my children. We communicate and offer love freely. So that's what we got today. Willing to change. All right. So people say that they really want to be who they are. And so when I use that word, do you love who you want to be enough to give up who you are? That is not a phrase that I came up with. Sister Adjua from LA, who is now with the Ancestors, used to talk about that. And her and Sister Naila Baraki, who were on my show, used to always talk about that. Who do you really want to be? And do you want to give up who you are to attain that? And so I thought about that as I am going through all different kind of transitions, from retiring, from a job that I really loved, moving to across the country again, taking care of my mother, and moving toward becoming 70. So there's a lot of transitions and things going on in my life. And so I started thinking about, well, who am I really now? Because who I was at 30 is not who I am at almost 70. And so I just want to talk about, how do we get to who we really want to be and the process that it takes. So I'm going to give you some tools that will kind of help you. I also want to speak out to, I was talking to my granddaughter, and she was helping me with some Instagram things. And she was saying, my friend Larry listens to you. And I said, he listens to me. She said, yeah, he comes to listen to the show every week. She said, I was talking to him on the phone, and I said, excuse me, is that my grandmother I hear in the background? And he goes, yeah, I watch your show every week. So I want to say, hey, Larry, and I also told my granddaughter, which means you were not looking at my show, because if Larry was looking at it and talking to you on the phone and you heard that means you were not listening to it. So we just had a little discussion about that, laughing about it. But I want to say thanks, Larry, for listening to my show. I appreciate that. So let's just talk about who are we. So when you decide that you want to be who you really, really think you are, there's a lot of sacrifices in that. A lot of times when you decide to become who that person is, sometimes your family and your friends will pull away from you because they don't understand what's happening, going on transition. Kind of like when I be back in 1968, 67, I decided to have an afro, and nobody was really doing an afro at that time. And so when I did that, a lot of my friends kind of pulled back because they were like, what's going on? And she's doing her Negro to Black conversion. And they weren't understanding it at that time. Of course, a lot of them did it later, but I've always been ahead of the game, always. All right, so Spirit told me, you need to wear your hair in a natural state. And so my mother's like, what the hell? My father's like, what's going on? And Angela Davis and everybody was out there. So I went through that whole process and decided to make my hair natural. And so I did that. Now, that means a lot of times people will not understand, like I said, and also my family and friends were kind of like, what's going on? And so kind of changing my dress and what have you. So when you decide to become that person who you really want to be, who you can feel it bubbling inside of you, then you have to learn how to speak your truth, which is not easy. A lot of times you're going to dress differently. Sometimes your color palette would change. Maybe you were wearing darker colors and all of a sudden you want lighter colors or pastel colors or whatever, but you can feel it within your spirit. It will direct you to where you need to go. Sometimes you really relocate across the country. You'll be like, okay, right now I don't feel this city anymore. And so you would do that. Sometimes your religion would change. You may have been a Christian and decide you want to start going into doing a lot of meditating, or maybe you want to go into Buddhism, or maybe you want to look at the Wiccan, or maybe you want to look at Catholicism. I mean, it could be any kind of thing. You can see this kind of changing. And what I will say to you is when you feel that, follow that spirit. Follow that spirit. And sometimes you just may be there long enough just to pick up some of the tools that they have, but it may not be for you. But I believe in trying all different kind of things. And part of that comes from me as being a child. My family always supported me in trying different things. So it could have been tennis, it was bowling, it was this, it was cheerleading, it was whatever it was. And they always supported me. So I felt comfortable in trying different things. Now, a lot of times when you say, oh, okay, I'm feeling this thing about I really want to travel, or this is not the right city for me, there is a phrase, astrocartography. So it's ASTROCARTOGAPHY, astrocartography. And you can go to the astrocartography site and you can put in your birthday and when you were born and all that. It will tell you, because when you were born and you hit this planet, there are certain sites or certain locations that are meant just for you. And so a lot of times you can have an astrocartography chart, and you need to have someone read the chart for you. Now, I went to the astrocartography.com or whatever it was, and it's very expensive, but I do remember, and I don't know if Sister Jamila is on here, Cyber Calloway, there was a brother in North Carolina that used to read the astrocartography, and he did one for me, which is really good because I think I lived in all those different places that that were on the chart. But it's a real interesting to see because they use your astrology and all that, and they put all that together, and they can tell you where you are supposed to live. Because when you took your breath, it goes out, and there's different points that one can live. And then there's different points you become very successful and will feel very comfortable in those different points. So part of my journey was, I always felt like the West Coast was for me. Even as a child, I used to wear a t-shirt, a sweatshirt that said UCLA, right? And I wore it until the sleeves were like up to here, and my mother was like, you got to get rid of this shirt. But I felt this kinship, this connection to California. And so eventually I was able to come to California. And then something happened. I had to come back to Chicago, and I kept saying, I really want to see what San Diego was like. Next thing I know, one of my managers called me and said, look, I'm in San Diego. I want to fly you out here so you can work with me in San Diego. So the whole thing is about who you really want to be. And when you say that you want to be something, the sister just told me the other day, we're not asking, we're not praying, we're petitioning what we want to manifest. And once you put that petition out, you leave it alone, and you will be so surprised how it will come and manifest for you. So I just read a thing about, it's like when you order something from Amazon, you go in there, you click on it, you put it in the cart, you hit it, and it says it's going to be delivered. You don't go back every day looking to see, oh my God, is Amazon coming? Is it coming? It's going to come. You know it's going to come. They'll even send a little chart. It's on its way, and boom, there it is. So it's the same thing when you want to have changes in your life. All you have to do is just say, this is what I want to have, and it will manifest, because the creator doesn't know, or the energy doesn't know good or bad. It just knows what you petition. So I tell people all the time, when you're saying, oh my God, I'm so broke, the universe loves you so much that she says she wants broke. So I'm going to give her more broke, because that's what she's petitioning. I'm so broke, I'm so broke. So you have to remember the power of the word is very, very important. So we have to, remember that all the time. What are we speaking? What are we thinking, right? So when we talk about who we are, and maybe you're trying to decide, well, who am I? I'm feeling this little inkling, but I'm not really sure what I want to do. The first thing is to be still. Be still. And then you can also meditate. You can call on your ancestors. If you listen to any of the words from Sister Rolanda, she always talks about speaking to the ancestors and asking them to guide you, and they will. Now, let me just say that when you say that, you have to be very careful. And some of us are light workers, and I'll talk about light workers later. When you are a light worker, you have to be very careful about when you petition things, because it will come and it will manifest very, very easy. So I'm going to give you an example. I went back to college after my daughter was a teenager. So I was in my late 30s, almost 40. And I remember I was doing my first group project, and I was very, very nervous about it. And there were 3 of us in our group. And we got up to do our presentation. And I remember saying, oh God, I'm so nervous. Spirit, I'm just asking you to please work through me doing this project, so I will speak what needs to be said and get this good grade. I get up there, I'm the last one that has to speak in my group. As soon as I get ready to speak, I feel something in me, and all of a sudden I speak, but the words that are coming out sounds like a different voice, right? So it sounds like a foreign voice. And so I this presentation, and it was a presentation, but after the presentation was over, I could feel this whoosh, and I look around, and my group, my team members were just staring at me, right? They're looking at me like, what? The teacher's looking at me, and the whole class is like looking at me, and teacher's like, oh my God, that was a great presentation. And the team was like, yeah, it was a great presentation. So afterwards, the teacher wanted to speak with me, and she said, which I found out later, she was very metaphysical. Her name was Starla Lewis. And she said, wow, that was very interesting. Something came over you while you were having that presentation. And she said, I can tell your voice changed, your mannerism changed. And I remember after that, we hooked up, and she gave me she worked with some metaphysical people. So I was able to get with a group to kind of help me in terms of my growth metaphysically. But I remember afterwards, some of the students from the class were like, wow, that was a real interesting presentation. Your voice changed when you did the presentation, and wow, and I remember I was trying to say something about driver's license, but whatever the spirit was in me didn't know driver's license. So they kept saying that thing that you use when you drive a car, when you drive a motor vehicle, and the police stop you, you have to show it to them. And everybody was like, driver's license. So I do remember parts and bits of it, but not all of it. It didn't scare me, because I could feel myself in it, but I felt like something was in me as well. And so I went, and that taught me a lesson about being careful about the words that you speak, because you're asking the spirit to come in with you, and versus guiding me as we go through this process. So I learned a lot about that. But from there, I was able to get with a metaphysical team and learned a lot about energy work and learned about all the gifts that I have, about who I really am. So going back to how you can do it, it's about going into your meditation. And when I say meditation, people start thinking this, it has to be a strict meditation where you sit down, you cross your legs, you sit up straight, you do all that. I think there are different meditations. I believe in more than one answer. So some people do a walking meditation. I'm sure when Sister Ro goes out and does her walking every day, it's a walking meditation. She can meditate just as well as someone who's sitting down in the room. Sometimes I do a meditation every night before I go to bed at night. I do different kind of meditations while I'm in my bed, and it takes me right into my deep sleep, and then I continue with the meditation. Some people do a dancing meditation. They get up and they start dancing. It's all different kind of music, and it doesn't have to be just a soft kind of music. It could be jazz, it could be whatever it is. It could be hip hop. If it gets you into that spirit and that zone where you're able to connect with the divine, then that's all you need. So don't let anybody pigeonhole you into what a meditation is. It is whatever it is for you, whatever your truth is, because everybody's truth is different. And so for me, mine is sometimes I sit up, and I do one in the morning as well. Sometimes I'm in the bed. Sometimes in the middle of the day, I may sit up and get my pillow and sit down and do it, or my yoga mat. Sometimes in bed, sometimes I'm not. So it's whatever it is. And sometimes I've even been in the bathroom at my job. It's been so stressful. I will go into the bathroom, shut the stall, sit in there, and then do a meditation to just kind of bring it down. Sometimes I just tell spirit, some people need to just not leave me alone, but need to be out of my space so that I can have peace. So you can do a meditation at any time, anywhere, on the bus. You can be standing up in the line and doing a meditation, whatever. You can do it anyway. But these things will help to keep you calm, and will help you also to find out who you really are. So I hear people talking about, well, I think I know who I am. I did a workshop one time, and in the workshop, all the person was sitting across from me would say, "Who are you? Who are you? Who you are?" That was the only thing they could ask you. Who are you? Who are you? And people were saying different things that were like, "I'm a wife. I'm a director of this thing. It was all about their job. It wasn't about who they were internally. It was what they were externally. And so when a lot of times they're talking about their passion or their purpose, which are two different things, because you can have a passion which will make you happy and you enjoy it, but your purpose might be something entirely different from your passion. Now, some people's passion and purpose do line up. That does happen sometimes. So you're able to do the so purpose. A lot of times people think that their purpose is something that is going to make you be the president of the United States, or they think their purpose, they're going to lead, Black women on to take over the world, or they're going to. Sometimes your purpose could be just learning patience. That may be all you're on this planet to do, is to learn patience. It may also be that your purpose could be maybe it's just to be forgiveness. Maybe that's all you have to do is just forgive people. Maybe that's all that your purpose is. And so we think that our purpose has to be something grandiose, when a lot of times your purpose doesn't have to be grandiose. It could be something, maybe it could just be peace for yourself. Maybe that's all it is. It's going to be peace for yourself. So we have to look at our passion. We have to look at our purpose, and sometimes they can be combined. I know a young man who does beautiful, beautiful art, and his passion is he creates these great masterpieces, but I think that's also his purpose, because the masterpieces that he creates are great African stories for us. So his purpose and passion are together. For me, I think my passion is I like creativity. I love art. I love poetry. I love creating things. And so I was like, wow, I think my whole purpose was not so much the art and poetry. It was about the purpose of creating and sharing that knowledge. And so I think that's my purpose. And that's why, I'm talking to you today about finding who you are. And also, I think one of mine is patience, because my mother has Alzheimer's, and you have to use a lot of patience, more than I ever thought. I mean, it's a trip. And so when you combine that creativity, that patience, because when you're doing anything that's creative, one has to be very, very patient in any kind of creative environment in order to create whatever it is you're trying to do. So when we look at that, we have to look at all aspects of our life: mentally, physically, spiritually, and healing. All that's part of who you are. So you can see me looking up because I have all these different things on my bullet points I have to make sure that I touch on. A lot of times, I think we have to just really look at how do we feel about ourselves. I see people, I've experienced people that are in relationships and they're in it, but they don't feel happy about it. They feel tired. And if you're feeling tired in a relationship, then that's not a good relationship. You shouldn't feel tired. I think you have to look at yourself physically. What's your diet like? Are you changing your lifestyle? And when I talk about diet, I'm not saying one has to be a vegan or a vegetarian, and whatever it is that you want to be, but how do you feel in that lifestyle? And I don't think we really look at sometimes. I think we just are tumbleweed sometimes. We're just rolling as a tumbleweed through our life, but not really getting anything serious out of life, or not understanding our life. We're just tumbleweeding around. And it was, for a while I was doing it, just tumbleweed. And then finally I was like, no, who am I really? What do I really want? And how can I serve the Creator? And when I did that, then a lot of things started changing and things started lining up. Now, trust me, when you talk about who you want to be, you're going to have some experiences. You're going to say, what the hell is this experience? But mind you, believe me, trust me, those experiences will come handy later in life. I had some experience that I thought was just so crazy, but by the time I was 40, 50 something, I was like, okay, if I had not had those experiences, I would not understand it. So a good example was, I was homeless for 2 weeks, but I had money but couldn't find an apartment, so I didn't have anywhere to stay. So some of you probably heard me talk about it, stay in someone's shoe shop during the day, but had to be out. Not to be stay in the shoe shop during the night, but had to be out in the day because that was a shoe shop. So in those 2 weeks, I was like, Creator, what is this about? Why am I homeless? What does this mean? Later, like 7 or 8 years later, I became a life coach, or an empowerment coach for the YWCA, and my clients, a lot of them were homeless. And I really understood when they were talking about being homeless and not knowing where to shower and didn't have resources and what have you. So I was like, okay, Creator, now I understand, because had I not been in that experience, I wouldn't know what they were talking about. I would kind of know what homeless is like, but until you've been homeless and not able to shower for a week, and you're washing up every day, and finally I did get to a shower and I could not believe how dirty I was. I was like, oh my God, just think if you were out there a month or so, how one would feel and how that just really affects your spirit. So all those things that you have in your life that are challenging to you, trust me, you're going to need those experiences for later on in life. So what I've learned is that when I have those experiences, I just relax in it and say, okay, what is this about? What part do I play in it? And what can I do to change it? And it makes everything so much different when you realize that you are responsible for everything that happens in your life. That is an unbelievable thing. And also, it puts the accountability on you. What am I doing? Because they say when you are born, when you are in the mother's womb, you are downloaded with everything you need to know. Everything you need to know to be a successful person. Everything you need to know is there. And so that's why they always say, know thyself. Because if you know thyself, then you will be able to come out of whatever it is that you're experiencing. All right. So let's talk a little bit about when we talk about physical and food and what have you. A lot of us are numbing ourselves with food. That's my drug of choice. If I feel emotionally there's something going on, I will turn to food. A lot of people do that. Now, some people's drug of choice may be cocaine. It could be weed. It could be whatever. But the thing when it happens to you, the thing is that you need to look at yourself and say, what is going on? Why do I feel the need to move toward that food? What emotion has been triggered? Because a lot of times that's what happens. You get triggered, and next thing you know, you're picking up some ice cream, you're picking up some peanuts, you're picking up some chips, whatever it is, and that's about you not dealing with the emotion. Is it easy? No, it's not. And that's why a lot of people go into counseling. But that's another thing. If you want to go into a counselor, make sure you have a good counselor. And I definitely believe in ethnotherapeutic counseling, so you get a counselor that looks like you, that kind of understands who you are or that vibes with you. If you go to a counselor and you ain't vibing, don't go back. Go to a doctor and they ain't vibing, don't go back. I mean, I'm real clear about the vibration is very, very important, that you have to be able to do that. Let's see. Talked about a little bit about spirituality. And I think for me, I like to try all different kinds of things. And so when you say, what do you mean, Shquestra, all different kinds of things? Well, for me, I've tried, I wrote them all down because I said, oh my God, I was, in the Kemetic order with Queen Afua and Baba Samaj. Definitely, I was a Methodist, grew up in a Methodist church. Do some Buddhism, Hinduism, the Wiccans. I know about witches. I love the witches. I'll have to talk to you about that. Voodoo, Ifa, Santeria. I've been to all those different kind of ceremonies and seen people been inducted in those different kind of ceremonies, and were invited to be initiated in different ceremonies. I did not, because the vibe just wasn't the vibe for me. But I respect all those different traditions because I think they're important. Also, the Native American tradition. And when I say the witches or the Wiccan, I love the witches shop. They have the best incense. They have the best crystals when you go into the witches shop. And I did find one in Tucson. Wherever I go, I always find the witches. I haven't found the Native American shop because I know they always have them around. Sister Naila Baraki and I used to go to the Native American in San Diego all the time and get their incense and different stones and what have you. So I would advise you to go to different, see, not scary, not spooky, it's not spooky, it's not scary, it's not any of those things. It's more about understanding different traditions, because we know that at one time, a lot of the midwives and whatever, the conjure women, the voodoo woman or whatever, were actually the midwives. They were actually the people that you went to when you needed to have, there was a medical need, and you would go to them and they would help you. Then the AMA came in, the medical, association came in, and then this whole kind of stuff that got crazy. But I do encourage you to reach out to them, and it's just really interesting to meet different people. I've just been lucky enough to be around them, from even the Buddhist monks and what have you, and the shamans from the rainforest. And so they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And so I've had all these different teachers that have come in and have taught me different traditions that I can use to protect myself and do whatever it is I need to do. But it's about me being open. It's me being honest, and I like those kind of knowledge. I think healing modalities are important too. I do a lot with energy work. I do Reiki. And I know the majority of my friends do Reiki and energy work, and all different kinds of different healing modalities, from crystals to pendulums. There are so many different things that one can do, and you can do in your home and heal yourself as well. I like herbalists as well, so I work with an herbalist now for some things that I'm have neglected in the past. And so when we talk about who you really are, we have to say why we do some of the things we do, because there's some things I know that I needed to do that I didn't do, and so now I'm paying the benefit, or reaping the benefit for not doing what I needed to do. Hold on one second, everyone. I'm gonna try to do my light. Seems like it's not bright enough. Okay. So we have to get back to that. I like naturopath. I love iridology, hydrotherapy, acupuncture, and all those kind of things I do for myself. But that's because that's who I am, and that's what feels comfortable for me. But when you say who you are, then you have to go with what feels comfortable to you and what feels best to you. I have no problem with getting up off a table if I don't feel the vibe with the person or don't feel the energy is right. You just have to get up and say, no, this is not working for me, and you just leave. So if you have any questions, make sure that you type any questions in. All right, so let's talk about, because I'm trying to give you things that will help you to find out who you are. Reach out to your ancestors. I think that is a very important thing to think about. Think about your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your great-great-grandmother. I know some people say, well, I'm an orphan. I don't know who my great-grandmother is. You can reach out to them and trust me, and go into a meditation. You will find out who these people are. And I don't know what's going on in my life. Find out who they are and what's going, and they will reach out to you and share information with you. I think that's important too. Be easy on yourself when you're trying to find out who you are. You can't just rush into it. Oh, I know it. Just take it nice and easy. And it's a process. It's definitely a process. You may find out one day you're changing your earrings, then the next day you're changing to this, or next day you might have a nose ring, or maybe your hair was natural and you decide that you want to go straight, or maybe it was straight and you want to go natural. All of that is just part of it. And it's okay. It really is okay to do all of that and to enjoy it as well. All right, people, I'm going to turn on this other light to see if it gets a little lighter. Okay, a little lighter. All right. So, and you're going to be different people at different times. So we know that. So sometimes you're going to be one person at 20, another one at 30, another one at 40, another one at 50, or you just may be at 20 and you just go all the way through to 60 at the same kind of level, if that's who you are. But for me, it just kind of changes, right? Just changes from decade to decade. I think that's what it is. But I think my intuition has always been there. And I want to mention that because this is so important, to listen to your intuition. Women, men, listen to your intuition. Is so important because it will never, ever steer you wrong. When you feel like something is wrong, pull back right then and there. You may not know what it is or why it is, but it's important to listen to your intuition. When I was in first grade, I was invited to someone's home for a sleepover. I was so excited, and my red suitcase, my mom packed my little things up, and I went over, and it was a snowstorm that evening in Chicago. And I remember I was there, and I had a great time, and everything was fine. And then it got dark, and then the little girl's father came home. Now, the little girl's father was very nice to me. It was great. He never said anything, whatever. As soon as he came in, I said, I have to leave. And the mother was like, what's going on? And I said, I have to go home. And she said, oh no, it's snowing outside, and you know, it's dark. And I started packing my little stuff, my little suitcase. And I said, well, I'm going to go home. So she got the car from her husband and stuff, and they drove me home. And I remember going home, and the doorbell rang. My mother said, what happened? And I was like, I had to come home. And she's like, I don't understand. Well, you're not going to be going to anybody's house anymore for sleepovers. You can't stay all that. But I was just like, whatever. And I just came in and put my little suitcase down, and that was it. Now, nothing was said. He didn't say anything to me. He didn't say anything. But the vibe when he came in said, get the hell out. And so I did. And so I've always been like that, like listening to my intuition. Went out with a man one time. He had all the trappings. He had a great car, BMW, great job, dressed well. We went out on a date. And all of a sudden I said, oh my God, this brother is carrying a rape vibe. What the hell is this? So, took me home. Everything was fine. And I was like, oh, Shquestra, you gotta be tripping. Went out again on a date with him. Same thing. I was like, okay, I got it. This is not gonna work. There's something about him that carries this rape vibe, and I don't know what it is or whatever, but I need to leave this brother alone. And so I stopped dating him after that. So it's about, I never had that experience, but I kept getting the signals that was saying, this is not for you, leave. And so I did. So it's important when you get that little inkling, I always listen to it. I've been in meetings, I've been in places, I've been like, oops, I got to go. Yeah, I'm going to go home now. And they were like, well, I got to go home. So that's important, to listen to that intuition. It will never, ever steer you wrong. But some people are like, well, this was a nice guy. And he was, all that sounds good, but it was something that was incorrect for me. Now, that was my truth. Now, maybe somebody else would have went with them and it would have been fine. But for me, that's how the interaction with him was for me. So I just kind of left that alone. Yeah. So I just want to give you some examples of intuition so you know exactly what you're talking about. Memories. A lot of times our memories will help us to know who we really are. I have memories that my family says that I should not have memories of because I was in my mother's womb. I have memories of, I can see the house, and I can see this lady, and I can see her in this room. So when I was a kid, I always was afraid of older people. And I just didn't like older people. And every time I saw older people, I was just like, ooh, I would pull back because I felt like there was going to be this smell that just really was repulsive to me. And every time we'd be around anybody in my family, they were really old people, I would just like clam up. So as I got older, I was telling my mother, I said, I really got this issue with older people that I always think I'm going to smell this horrible smell that's going to just really buckle me to my knees. And my mother said, well, where's that coming from? And I said, I remember seeing when I was very little, this old lady was in a room and it was very dark and she was in a rocking chair. And she was just sitting in this chair, but it was this horrible, horrible smell. And so my mother looks at me and she goes, say it again. And so I repeated the whole thing again and kept talking about this one. She said, you couldn't have experienced that. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, because I was pregnant with you and my aunt had her mother-in-law staying in the house where she was, and this older woman had cancer and she had this horrible, horrible smell. And this was way back in the 50s. And they were taking care of her and covering her wounds or whatever. And my mother said, you could not because you were in the womb. And I can see it so clearly and can smell the smell so clearly. But after she told me that, I felt peace about it because I understood where it had come from. And so then it just kind of, that whole thing about older people just kind of dissipated after that. But that was a memory that I had from the womb. So a lot of times if your parents are still around, you can ask them something. Now, there are some secrets. Let me just be real honest with you. They're not going to tell you everything. Parents are not going to tell you. I mean, my grandmother went to the womb. Ancestral guy. Yeah, my grandmother went to the womb and did not tell my mother about who her father was. So there are some secrets, but the whole thing, if you can try to get them to express those things to you, it will make everything so much easier into who you are and where you want to go. Because I talked about before you were born, you set up this whole contract of these experiences you were going to have on this planet. And so I have friends of mine, Jamila and Beverly, who we talk about, and she was telling me one time, she said, Shquestra, you can break your contract. And I said, what? She said, oh yeah, you can break your contract. You go up in there and you just say, you know what? I need to break this contract. This is not what I thought. This is whatever and you can have these kind of conversations. And so when you are open to your ancestors and what have you, you can have these kind of contracts. It's not anything that I have that's any kind of special kind of powers that I have. We all have this. I have been fortunate enough to be, I should say, I was fortunate enough to pick a family that allowed me to be able to have these conversations with them. And so when you're able to have these kind of conversations, then you're able to be supported. Like if I told my mother I saw something, she would say, well, who was it? What were they saying? It wasn't more like, you didn't say anything. She was like, well, what happened? What were they saying? What did they tell you? And so as I got older, I found that I wasn't the only one. My Aunt Cora does the same thing. My mother has the same thing. And so the whole family has it. But then as I started talking to people, a lot of women have it and a lot of men have it. But what do? We suppress it. And a lot of times between the ages of birth to 5, because once you start going to school, a lot of that gets suppressed. Because people tell you, you don't hear that, you don't see that, you don't know that. But with my granddaughters, we supported that, and they told us all kind of stories about their past lives and where they came from. And I remember my granddaughter saying one time, she said, you know what, I don't really like this. She said, because I was a grown man and I could do whatever I wanted to do. And I said, yes, but in this lifetime, you came back as a black little girl and you live with us. And so you can't do what you want to do because you're a little girl. Now, when you get to be an adult, then there's certain things you could do. And so we would have these kind of conversations with them. So, Beverly Alameen. Thank you, Beverly. Yeah, Beverly is a really good friend of mine that we toss things back and forth. Her and Jamila, when we're trying to figure out what's going on, or we check in with each other and really support. It's very important to have a support group, someone that's around you. And they're not my family, but they're part of my family. So a lot of times your biological family, like sometimes I would always tell my mother, she was always laughing at me. I was part of my family, but not part of my family. And they used to always say to her, so I was adopted, right? And she was like, you weren't adopted? And I was like, yeah, okay. And then when I got to be like 15, I said, so you can tell me now I was adopted, right? And she's like, no, you were not adopted. You were not adopted, because I was so different from my family. But in each family, there's someone that holds the bloodline. There's someone who's going to be more connected than everyone else. There's going to be always someone who's going to reach out. And with Beverly and Jamila, I think they're the ones in their family and their bloodline that's the one that's holding that energy. And then we all found out when we were kids, we all had red suitcases that we would take when we go. I think Jamila went to her grandmother's, I think Beverly went to her grandmother. Mine was when I went to people's houses or whatever, sleepover, always had this red suitcase. So we kind of like the red suitcase kids. So we always, talk to each other about and support each other and who we are. Now, are we changing? Yeah, we've changed a lot. From 50 to almost 70, there's been a lot of changes and we talk about that and kind of toss it back and forth and be a springboard for each other for where we want to be. So I heard something the other day and says, most of us are dying of surviving. And that's what we're doing. We're surviving, but we're not thriving because we're not who we really want to be. And my thing is to be who you want to be. I remember one time, when I had more hair, I would just put feathers in my head. I used to love to put feathers in my head because that's how I felt like it. And what is wrong with that? But when you live in Los Angeles, people, you can just kind of do anything you want to do. So it's, shoes or maxi dresses or whatever it is. Chicago people kind of look at you, but I still did what I wanted to do. And I wore even though I was in a corporate setting, I wore what I wanted to do. And I find out when you are rooted in who you want to be, people will respect you. And I was the first one to start sending out emails that said greetings. People would be like, hello, good. I would be greetings. And then I would go into my email. The next thing I know, the entire company is now saying greetings and, going and at the end, peace. Because that's who I was. It was greetings, it was peace, whatever. And the same thing on my voicemail was the same thing because that was who I am. And when you are who you are and you feel solid in who you are, then people will respect you. And I think when you just kind of milly mouth and kind of not really being who you are, people know that and then will take advantage or use that to their advantage, right? Jamila does the Akashic records, and that's where you give your date, when you were born, and the time, And then she can go back and she does a whole meditation when she goes into the Akashic record and can pull your records out of who you said you wanted to be in this lifetime. And what it's because the day that you were born, the time that you were born, where you were born, all that means something. Everything in your life is interconnected. There is nothing just haphazard. Everything is interconnected. And I think sometimes we forget that everything is interconnected, but everything, even the people you associate with, your friends, it's all connected because they all bring you different experiences. Lord knows Naila Baraki has given me some experience, and we've had so many adventures, but out of those, I've learned so much from her and from her associates about who I am and what is going on in the planet. So it is so important to honor those associates, honor those friendships, because they bring something that makes you who you are. So I want to share, because I want to make sure that I share some of my books that I have with you. One of them, this is a great book. It's called The Way of the Aikido. The Way of the Aikido is a really, really good book. It has all different kinds of, yes, there it is, all different kinds of stories. And it's a life lessons from an American sensei. It has some great rituals and some things in here for you. I love that one. That's a great one. Another one is people are trying to figure out is Instant Happy Journal. It's all different kind of things about journaling and being happy, who you really are. You want to get that. This is a really good book, Instant Happy Journal. And I go through it, and you know me, I'm always doing something different. Instead of going each day, I just flip through it, stop at a certain page, and then see what it says. Like this one says, pay attention. People may not tell you how they feel about you, but they always show you. Pay attention. And so it has little things you can do. It's a great one. Another one, Ask and It Is Given. If you want to manifest anything in your life, this is a great book. This woman channels things in. Great book about how to manifest in your life. And it's about us saying what we really want and then letting it go and understanding. You don't have to keep asking the same thing over and over. As Sister Queen Ananda was saying, as Queen Ananda was saying, it's about petitioning it and understanding that the energy behind it, and it is done. When you're finding out who you are, I do a vision board. So I'll show you all. This is a big vision board. See, it's a big vision board, great big vision board, right? And I add stuff to it all the time. It's a vision board. It's a work in progress because things change. But every vision board I've ever had is always manifested for me. Visioning. So when you do a vision board, it's not about just doing how you are uniquely you. Yeah, I am, Naila, and so are you. Visioning. This is a great book because people do vision boards but don't understand the visioning behind it and all the things you need to really ask and set up prior to your vision board so you can understand that this vision will manifest if you ask the right questions. Because a lot of times it's about asking the right questions. Visioning. Stuck again. I don't know what's happening. Okay. And another one, when people think about who they are and what they want to do, this is a great book, The Tao of Sexology, the Book of Infinite Wisdom. This is a real good book because this book talks about all the sexual positions that people use and how these different positions help heal your body. So sometimes we're going to have a topic on sacred sex. So I'm going to talk to people about the sacredness of sex. I think people are just having sex but don't understand the sacredness of sex and how just having sex, you can really heal your body, and there's different things that happen in the process of having sex. So we want to talk about the Book of Infinite Wisdom by Stephen Chang. It's a really, really good book and has different diagrams and what have you. I love this book. I'm going to keep that. So that's a really good book to have. Now, also, because I'm sharing who I am, I do cards. So one of the cards I really love is the Mother Peace card. So this is the Mother Peace card. It's a round tarot card. I love it. And the reason I like it because when I travel, I can just put it in my suitcase. or usually I put it on the plane and take it with me, so I can always read my cards anytime. It's very easy to read. You don't need to go to a tarot person, although I do have one that I go to sometimes, a sister named Yayoi. But this is really, really cool that you can take, and it tells you exactly how you can do it. I can just pull past, present, and future. I can just pull a card for the day for myself, so that's good. Another one is the Mother of the Moon tarot card. Beautiful card. These are so cool. I love them. So it's the Daughters of the Moon. Daughters of the Moon tarot card. Oops. Yeah. Very easy to do. Now I also have the Mayan Oracle. Jamila was telling me about this. So you got the Mayan Oracle. That's kind of cool. So these are different cards that I have that I use and I pull at different times. Now, sometimes when I'm feeling like I just don't know which way to go and don't have time to really get with the ancestors or meditate or whatever, I'll reach for the Guide for the Advanced Soul. So the Guide for the Advanced Soul, I just close my eyes, say, this is what I'm searching for. I'm lost or this or whatever, and then I just kind of thumb through it and then go on a certain page and boop, tells me what it says. So the other day I was asking about patience with my mother, and it says, and I pulled this out and it says, the only successful manifestation is one which brings about a change or growth in the consciousness. And I was like, wow, that's it. It's about my consciousness. It's not about, oh, I need to do this for my mother. I need to be peaceful within my consciousness, and everything else would follow. And so it's a really good book to have. A Guide for the Advanced Study. And so all of these have special little covers that I have. And I think Sister Mercedes might have given me this cover. And it's a beautiful little cover. And I keep them all in little special little, it's like part of my spiritual tools. And so I keep my spiritual tools in some place that's very, 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 very special for me. So I hope I've given you, some tools that you can really, that really help you. I was trying to make sure that I got everything. And sometimes we forget about our work. Yeah. And bring us back to our purpose. Yeah. Sometimes we forget about our work, and where we're working and what's happening and what is that really about. I have different tools. I do the astrophotography, the I never get it right. Ashkat records. I do astrology. I do tarot cards. I do candles. I do colors, because I understand that everything is interconnected. I look at the sheets on my bed. I always try to do cotton sheets because I understand the cotton versus the one that has polyester. I look at my underwear. I try to do cotton underwear versus having polyester next to my skin. The same thing with my bras, because I knew everything is connected. Today I wanted to wear black. What is black? Black is about power. And I have confidence in my DNA because I know who I am and about my ancestors. Did this just come about today? No, there's some things that I've known since I was a child, but it was a process for me feeling comfortable. I mean, there's still some things that I know that I can reach even further in terms of my gifts, but have to feel safe and secure about that. I am one of those people that sometimes people's ancestors will come to me. Now that is very, very difficult. So I'm going to give you a good example. And this is the strangest thing I have ever had to do. Someone's father came to me and said, I need you to give a message to this person. Now this person is a CEO of an organization. Now, how can I tell a CEO of an organization that their father came to me? So I said, sir, I can't tell that person that because they're going to think that I'm really crazy and they don't really know me like that. And I can't do it. Next thing I know, a couple of days later, the person comes back, the father comes back and says, I really need you to tell the person this message. I said, sir, I don't know. He's like, please, you have to. I said, well, why didn't you tell the person's not listening? They're not listening. I'm like, oh God, what am I going to do? This man's going to keep coming to me, So I said, okay. So I made an appointment to go and talk to the person. And I said, I need to tell you something. And it's going to sound very strange. But does your father who's deceased, did he like wearing this certain color? Oh my God, yes, my father loved that color. Hmm. Well, I just wanted you to know your father came to me. What? Your father came to me and said to tell you this message. And I shared the message and I told the person what the father looked like and whatever. Yep, that's my father. Oh my God, that's unbelievable. Okay, I got the message. And so the person thanked me very much and said, I really wanted to, thank you and let you know that if he comes and says anything else to you, please reach out to me and let me know. Now that was the hardest thing I ever had to do because this person's the CEO and here I am, middle management or whatever, and I got to tell them that their father comes to me. So sometimes ancestors do come to me, and sometimes they ask me to tell people something because most of us are not listening. And that's what I'm saying. You all have the ability to reach them. It is not scary. It's not spooky. But this is what I say. Do not come to me in anything that's going to scare me. Because if it is, I'm going to shut it down and I'm not going to do it. So you can even put it out there. You come to me, you got to come correct. I don't do scary. I don't do this or whatever. If something's happened to you and it's a tragic thing, you got to fix yourself up, dress yourself up before you come to me. Because if not, I'm not going to hear it. I'm going to be afraid, And so I think that we all have that. We all have that ability. And I am trying to spread the word with my community to say that you all have that where you can just tap into whatever it is you want. You can petition, as a sister was saying, Queen was saying, you can petition whatever it is that you want. Queen Nana, I don't know why, man, I can't get Queen Nana today. She said, you can petition whatever that you want, but it's about you being confident. It's about you saying, yes, that I want. And it's not about demanding. You just open yourself up. You just take a deep breath and open yourself up. I go to Insight Timer. I use Insight Timer. It's an app, and they have so many meditations. So there's a full moon meditation I go to. There's an ancestral meditation. There's just so many different meditations that I go to. So every night I go through different meditations. And so when I do that, then that allows me to open up and then different things, come. I think it's about also going to bed early and not letting yourself get so drained, because when you get so drained, then a lot of times you're not open and just go into a deep sleep. But since I've been working with another spiritual group and we've been doing some things, I've really opened myself up, and now I am dreaming every day. So every day I'm seeing different things. I'm experiencing different things. I love lucid dreams. And lucid dream is where you are in a dream, but you're aware that you're in a dream, and then you can have these experiences from the dream. And so that is really interesting to be able to do that. And a lot of times you will get messages, and a lot of times I'll get these messages and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And I'll look it up. Like one time I had a dream where I was actually in another solar system, and then I looked it up, and that system does exist. And it was a term I had never heard of before. So a lot of times you will have these experiences when you open yourself up and feel free to do that. So we are getting near the end of the show. I hope I gave you some tools that will help you. I hope that you find who you really are. I hope that you will feel comfortable in that. You can always go to shquestrasatawi@gmail.com if you have any questions, or go to my Facebook, Shquestra Satawi. And, if you have any, like I say, any questions, or you're just unsure or whatever, but I'm telling you, once you open yourself up to who you are going to be so excited. It's going to be so good. And you just have to be mindful now that you can petition and think things can manifest very easy. So be careful of what you think and what you speak, because those things can manifest as well. I always ask for things in a good way. Even when I ask for people to be out of my life, I say in a good way. I just want them out of my life. I don't care if they win the lottery. I don't care if they get married. I don't care if they go to school to get a master's. I don't care. as long as they're out of my life. So I think that's important to do, to always say in a good way, because I do not want the karma. And I've been in an experience where someone wanted me to do something, and I know that I could do it to hurt someone, but I don't believe in that, because I don't want the karma behind hurting someone. So I just say in a good way, out of my space. That's all I need to, all I need to know. So I was asking my brother about the quote from him this week. He was like, I don't really know if I got any quotes. He just says just so much going on, and he's just trying to keep balance. So I think balance is really important, that we keep balance. And I do my anti-stress drugs and do my herbs every day. And so it just kind of keeps me balanced. But I am feeling, what I noticed is that I didn't know I was tired until I felt better. And now that I feel better, I'm like, oh my God, I was really tired and really stressed and really overworked. But now that I feel better, I'm like, okay, I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. So I just want to thank you all for tuning in. Hope you got some great tools. Hope you feel like, I gave you plenty of resources, and hope you feel like you can be who you really are. So we will see you next week, and have a great week and be who you are. So I'll see you. Peace.